everybody. Good afternoon, morning, or evening, wherever you're at. Join me today in the garden while we plant garlic. It is currently November 13th here in Tennessee. I'm in zone 7A-ish. Some sources will say 7B. I follow 7A. It doesn't really make that much difference. But as you can see here, some of my plants are real dead, and that's because it has finally gotten cold here. We had our first freeze a couple weeks ago, and then it got really warm again, and so I almost planted my garlic, and then I didn't. And the reason for that is because while you want to get your garlic planted in November or earlier if you can, if you're farther north, hopefully you already have it in the ground. If not, it's not too late, get it in there. Because you want it to go through a period of cold stratification. So the colder it gets and the longer that it gets cold, the better your bulbs will be. And I experienced this firsthand because the first year that I grew garlic, I planted it in January because it was kind of a last minute decision where I was just like, you know what, let's try it. It seems easy. And it worked. They grew. I got good bulbs, but they were small. They were all small. And then I was trying to figure out what I did wrong and why were my garlic bulbs so small? Is that just because they were homegrown? And overwhelmingly what I found was just the biggest piece of advice, other than fertilization and things like that, is your garlic not being cold for a long period of time will make your bulbs smaller. So last year I planted them in November. I had much better success with getting good sized bulbs like you would expect from the grocery store out of my garden. Some were still small. That was probably mostly my fault because I take a pretty hands-off approach when it comes to my garlic because it is fairly easy to grow. The reason that I did not plant it earlier in November, like I did last year I think I was pretty close to just after Halloween when I planted. This year though, we got warm again afterwards, and so I didn't want it to start growing because it was warm. So I waited for a little bit. Now it is a very winter-ish day here in Tennessee where it's windy and it's cold. It's about 35 degrees or so, I think, right now. So now it's the perfect time because we're not going to we were up in the 80s last week, so we hopefully will not get that warm again after today, and so it'll be the perfect time to plant garlic. Like I said, if you have not planted your garlic yet, it's not too late. Go ahead, get some garlic, get it in the ground. And we'll talk about all its great uses and things as the video goes on. Before we dive into more information about garlic, I want to make two quick notes here from editor Jen. First, I'm sorry for the odd audio when I'm talking outside. It was really windy when I filmed this, and I'm not quite sure what's going on with the mic. So thank you for bearing with me. Secondly, I want to make a note about sources, because there is so much to learn about garlic and there is absolutely no way I could cover it all in this video. So I have left links that I found useful down below, as well as some of the books that I own if you want to check those out. Most importantly though, I want to give a massive shout out to my herbalist Sarah from Rowan Sage for sharing her extensive knowledge and wisdom on garlic and so many other herbs. If you're interested in learning about herbalism, I highly recommend her community called Herbaria. Her monograph on garlic was extremely important to making this video and my own workings on garlic. So I have left links for her below. She's incredible. I cannot say enough wonderful things. Please go support her, whether just on social media or by joining one of her courses. She has Herbaria, which is a year-round course on herbalism where she teaches about different herbs and recipes and videos. She also does one-off classes that you can buy. It's wonderful. Go check her out. All that information is down below. So last year I planted all of my garlic in this bed here. This is what I call bed 3. So that's this bed here that you're seeing is what I call bed 4. It's the closest one to the driveway, and then 2 and 1 up towards the house. But this is our beloved bed 3. This is where I grew all of my garlic last year. It did great here. The The only problem that I had, the garlic did beautifully, but by the time the garlic was ready to harvest, all of the pepper plants that I had on the other half of the bed, and then like the sunflowers and roselle that I had in between the trellises there, were huge and practically fully grown and growing beautifully. So when I pulled the garlic out to put the okra in, which I thought would be a good idea because okra really likes heat, so by the time that was coming out, there would be the heat for the okra to really take off and get going, and I still had a long enough season to harvest okra after that. So I thought it would work well, and in theory in theory it was great, but because all the other plants in this bed were already so grown, the okra just never really took off. I had a few plants grow, but they were thin and spindly because they weren't really getting enough sunlight in their early seedling age because the peppers were shading them out so much. So this year, instead of putting all of my garlic in one place, which if you have a bed that you're not putting, you know, a smaller, maybe like a 4x4 bed, you're going to put all garlic in it, and then when you pull your garlic out, you're going to plant okra. Beautiful. It'll work great. Trust me. But if you're going to do, you know, succession planting with your okra or some other plant after you pull your garlic out, I really recommend not having it around other plants that also aren't getting pulled out at the same time. Or if maybe you're in a different situation than me, and you know, I have a lot of trees around us, so we get more shade in the morning than if you were in an area without trees. So maybe the shade from the other plants wouldn't be such a problem. But I've kind of got double shade to battle here. So this year, instead of in a single bed, we're going to plant okra just in around the perimeter of all of my beds. And that's kind of a twofold thing. One, because it prevents the same issue happening last year of when I pulled the garlic out, I don't have anything to put in it, or I don't have enough sunlight to put something in its place. And two, garlic is a really great natural pest deterrent. So I think it will be great to just have a ring of garlic around all my other beds. So that is our plan this year. Let's get started. So let's do a quick little chat about garlic and the different varieties that there are. So the two big categories of garlic are hardneck and softneck. Softneck garlic is where you see those beautiful pictures of braided garlic hanging in someone's pantry that looks oh so aesthetic and lovely. That's softneck garlic. If you want to do that, you're gonna want to grow softneck garlic. Additionally, softneck garlic usually tends to yield bigger bulbs with more smaller cloves. So there's that. Hardneck garlic, which is my favorite type to grow. I've grown both in the past. This year I'm growing all hardneck garlic. It's my favorite because it puts off the flower stalk, which is called a garlic scape. And if you have not had a garlic scape, please, please, please grow some hardneck garlic. Go to your local farmer's market. However you can acquire them, get them. They're delicious. You can use them almost like you would a spring onion to add garlic flavor into something. They're really crunchy. When they're raw, you can cook them. I've seen them in a lot of like Asian cooking videos that use garlic scapes. I like to dice them up really thin and put them in guacamole for a little extra garlic flavor there. You can put them in soup. Like anywhere you would use garlic or a spring onion, if you're a garlic fan, you're gonna want garlic scapes. They're so good. Please grow them. Please try them. But I love them, obviously, which is why I'm growing all hardneck garlic, because I really want a lot of them this year. So first up I have, what is this one here? Oh, before we get there, let me tell you where I bought my garlic. Because if you're still looking for garlic, I think they still have it in stock, because I was actually late to ordering my garlic this year and they had everything I wanted. So Keen Garlic is where, let me cover my face so it'll focus. Where I got my garlic this year. This is my first year ordering from them. The website was really helpful. They give you this whole pamphlet on growing and planting garlic, which I think is great because a lot of companies don't do that. So if you're new to growing garlic, they have a lot of good resources on their website. They have both organic and conventionally grown garlic for you to buy. Yeah, so check out Keen Garlic. A lot of other places sell garlic. A lot of places are sold out already though. So I got from them the Amish Rocambole. I gotta cover my face again so this will focus. So this I have not grown, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. So I grabbed that one. And then German extra hardy. This I have grown. It did really well for me before. Even when I planted it in January, it still put off good cloves. And it has the kind of purple skins, which I really love. And then I also have, oh yeah, Chestnut Red is the other one that I got here. Same thing, I've grown this before. It's done really well for me. I'm a sucker for the purple striping on the paper. And then the last thing, which if you follow me on Instagram, you already know this, that I got is elephant garlic. And I'm so excited. I've been wanting to grow this for a really long time. Let me cut this open so I can show you. This is 1 clove. This is my eyeball for scale. So this is elephant garlic. It's, I believe, technically considered a leek. It's not an actual type of garlic, but obviously it grows and looks like garlic. It grows these massive cloves, which from what I've read is a little bit milder than other garlic. So it might be good if you have young kids or something where you don't want that really pungent spice of garlic. But I'm very excited to grow this year and get some really big cloves to use throughout the year. I'm so excited. The last 2 years I've grown garlic, I wanted to grow this and I could never find it in stock anywhere when I went to order. And this year I found it. Thank you, King Garlic. I'm so excited to grow elephant garlic. Let's get to planting. Garlic, or Allium sativum by its Latin name, is a species of bulbous flowering plant native to Central Asia that has been spreading across the world for over 5,000 years. There are at least 120 cultivars of garlic originating from Central Asia, with more than, I believe, 800 species worldwide. We are all probably most familiar with the medium white-sized bulbs of garlic that you find in the grocery store. However, there are so many other varieties ranging from smaller bulbs to larger bulbs, some with many cloves and some with few cloves, some that have purple striping in their wrappers, and even wild garlic, a plant you may be familiar with if you forage or have a yard like mine that is not all perfectly manicured grass. Each spring, wild garlic pops up all over my yard as a lovely reminder that the growing season of spring is about to come. If you're going to forage wild garlic, please do so ethically and only harvest from land that you have a relationship with. Take no more than 1/3 of the available plant. And if you find only a small patch all by itself, please leave it be so the plant can continue to grow and spread. It's important to note that garlic has a strong relationship with the Jewish people, as it is said to have helped sustain them through captivity in Egypt and is a key part of their celebrations, especially in Shabbat meals. Unfortunately, throughout the years, beginning way back with the Romans, associating Jews with garlic has become an anti-Semitic symbol. However, their love of garlic has remained due to its association with good luck, protection, and protection from the evil eye, a symbol you might be familiar with from many Latin cultures that is also a big part of Jewish culture, as well as many others. As garlic spread throughout the world, its association and importance in cultures continues to grow and is now a beloved kitchen staple for so many. Okay, we've talked about where I'm growing my garlic and what types of garlic I'm growing. We've talked about what went awry last year, and you're hopefully hearing lots of great tips and useful information. So let's talk about actually planting garlic and what you should do. So I have a lot of wood chips on this bed, so I'm going to kind of dig down in here, and I'm going to start with the elephant garlic with the hold please. So the elephant garlic is already in cloves. I'm going to show you with this because it's a larger clove. But before we get there, when you get bulbs of other, you obviously don't want to plant the whole bulb. So you're just going to, and I just kind of let the papers fall. Break this open and break open can separate all of the individual cloves from your garlic bulb, but leave the paper on. You don't need to like take all of the paper off and expose the clove. So just like this, and then we'll plant. So you want to make sure that, so this is the bottom of your clove, right, where it's connected to the bulb. This is your narrow top, right? We're familiar with garlic. I suppose maybe not. So you want to make sure when you're planting your garlic that you put that base or root side, what they call it, so where it was connected to the base of the bulb, down, and the tip facing up. You want to go about 3 inches deep, and you want to go 6 to 8 inches apart. That is the recommended spacing. You could go closer, see what it does. The biggest thing to note with garlic is that it is a heavy feeder. So I have already fertilized the soil before I put the wood chips on it. And then I've got wood chips here, which have a lot of good nitrogen in them. But you want to make sure that you're fertilizing throughout the year. So don't forget about your garlic. Like I said, I'm a lazy garlic grower. I haven't really paid attention to fertilizing in the past. It's still done well for me. But if you know that your soil is depleted and it needs a little help, make sure that you're helping your garlic out a little bit. So we're going to go root side down, about 3 inches deep, tip facing up, and then we're just going to cover it back up. And we're going to let that guy hang out. And then in the spring, he'll bust through the soil with a great, beautiful stalk, and we will have some lovely, lovely garlic growing in our garden.
Now that we've talked about the history of garlic, the varieties of garlic, how to plant garlic, let's spend some time talking about its medicinal and spiritual uses. You will commonly see references to garlic being hung in doorways or around homes as protection from evil spirits and illness, and for good reason. Garlic favors the immune system, the respiratory system, and the cardiovascular system. Garlic is probably most known for its heating energetics, as well as being antimicrobial, antibacterial, antifungal. It stimulates the immune system and a whole slew of other things. It is packed with powerful constituents that make it great for treating a wide variety of ailments. But you will commonly see it used to treat colds, fevers, chronic cough, used as an antibiotic. Indigenous peoples of the Americas recognize garlic as this gift from another world, using it as an antihistamine and to treat intestinal parasites. They've also used it as a natural insect repellent by rubbing it directly on the skin. And along the same line, you can rub raw garlic on an insect bite to relieve the itch or sting of that bite. For people with sluggish digestion, especially those with cold constitutions, garlic can help stimulate the digestive fire. But for the same reason, it can be irritating to those with hot constitutions or who have FODMAP sensitivities. There has been clinical research conducted around garlic's impact on those with diabetes, hypertension, healing surgical wounds, alopecia, cardiovascular health, stomach infections, ulcers, and more. The beauty of garlic is that you can take it directly, eating an individual clove, though not necessarily recommended. Please do your research before doing that. Creating tinctures with it and adding it to your everyday meals. It is, however, recommended that you chop or crush your garlic to let the allicin produce and make it more effective in its healing properties. Garlic is also a plant commonly used in spiritual practices around the world, as it is a plant of protection and warding off evil, as we have already mentioned. You will most commonly see it used for these aspects in spiritual practices, as garlic has been known to break hexes, help end relationships, platonic or romantic, that you no longer want to be a part of, and to assist in strengthening your energy field. Garlic can also be used for clarity, uncovering truths and gifts about yourself. Author of Plant Witchery, Juliet Diaz, notes that garlic is particularly useful for people with a history of abuse or trauma that may have caused people to place many protective layers around themselves, like the many paper layers around a garlic clove. Whether you work with garlic as a culinary herb, medicinally, spiritually, or some combination of all three, there is no doubt that it is a great addition to have in your garden.
All right, guys, thank you for joining me today while I planted garlic. I hope it was helpful to see my process, and maybe you learned a thing or two about garlic and its history and its medicinal uses. And if you liked this format and are curious to know more about the other common plants you might find in a garden or herbs, let me know and I'd be happy to continue making this style of video for you all. In the meantime, happy November wherever you are in the world and however warm or cold that is, and we hope to see you back here soon.